Dhamma talks by Mogok Sayadaw. No date. Worthless and worthy. In the beginning, Sayadaw, using the DA process, describes many kinds of unwholesome and wholesome minds arising. With the unwholesome mind, a person lives a bad life, and with a wholesome mind, one lives a good life. The preceding mind is Paticcasamuppada, the cause, and the following mind is Paticcasamuppanna, the result. Mostly living with bad minds means that after death, one must go to apayas. If the person dies, don't make merits for them. If one can use or insert knowledge, nana, in selling and buying businesses, one is living a good life, i.e., with mindfulness in daily life. Killing whatever of course arises with the Maganga means being alive with the path factors. You can be alive with only one mind, which is a good life. You must correct it. Follow behind with the Maganga of discerning Anicca. Most of the worldlings are living a bad life. This important point is good for contemplation. Most beings come to this world as humans living worthless lives. Even most Buddhists can't escape from it. Therefore, the apaya existences are open to most human beings who create foolish, useless, and harmful actions for themselves, others, and nature. The most harmful people are some influential and wealthy people whose impacts can be seen at the international or global levels: instability, insecurity, natural disasters, etc. Arise. If you are able to observe your minds and be alive with the Vipassana Nana, you will be protected. Note, there are two important suttas in Anguttara Nikaya for guarding the mind and self-examination. The Book of Fours, Sutta number 117, and the Book of Tens, Sutta number 51. You do not need to be afraid of lobha and dosa arising, but you have to be afraid of not knowing when they are arising. In the Satipatthana Sutta, the Buddha said, you have to know them when arising. In the worldling's mind, it'll arise. They arise for connecting the DA processes. If lobha and dosa minds do not arise, it is better. If you contemplate their arising, the enemies become friends. To pay attention to dharmas means the dharmas are the preceding mind arising, and paying attention is contemplation. Contemplating the preceding mind with the following mind is paying attention to the dharmas. The preceding mind is anicca and the following mind is magga. This Khandha is a sankhara dharma, conditioned by kamma, citta, uttu, and ahara. Therefore, it's not good to be subordinate to others. It is never free from dissolution. You have to go toward the place of the unconditioned until arriving there. Go there with the Maganga train. It'll send you to the end place of Sankhara Dharmas. The end of conditioned Dharmas is Nibbāna. The path factors do not arise by themselves. Only with the knowledge of Sankhara will they arise. Knowledge of the perishing nature of Sankhara Dharmas will cause weariness to arise. After that, you will not want it and it'll end. This ending is arriving at the unconditioned Nibbāna. You have to follow the path to the end of Anicas. The ending of Anicca is Nibbāna. Could you distinguish when you're worthy and when you're worthless? If you follow the Maganga, you are worthy. Without following it, you become worthless. Dhamma talks by Mogok Sayadaw. No date. On the Hindrances. The following 5 talks are on Nivaranas based on a sutta in Anguttara Nikaya, Book of Fives, Sutta number 193, Sangharava Sutta. Niyama, fixed course, is constant wherever it may be. Therefore, wherever it may be, the anicca of the Khandha body is always right or true. Only with the Buddha arising do living beings know about the anicca, dukkha, and anatta dharmas. We need someone to talk about these things. They can't be found in other faiths. Even believing in Kamma is quite a rare thing. Not discerning anicas makes it unable to uncover the coverings. Today, I'll talk about how to uncover them. Whenever you don't discern anicas, the desire for the next khandha will arise. You don't know about the khandha very well with its niyama. This is also due to not encountering a good teacher. With no inside knowledge, wandering in samsara will never end. You'll never have the chance for comfort. There's no goodness in it. There is no one who taught how to uncover for them. Because of these two factors, beings are wandering in samsara. Tell the story of Sangarava Brahman. With lobha, you will not discern anicca. You must remove it. The desire for the 5 chords of sensual pleasures covers up not only the discerning of anicca, but also the knowing of the benefits of oneself and others. This point we can see at the international levels in some countries with people who have power and wealth. At that time, you are not contemplating your meditation object, but have to contemplate the hindrance, lobha. When the mind, nana, becomes clear again and returns back to the khandha, you will discern anicca. Therefore, don't blame the problem on the paramis. For other hindrances, also remove them in the same way by contemplating anicca and returning back to the khandha. The reasons for wandering in samsara and carrying around the asubha khandhas are consorting with evil people and not doing the things that should be done. Therefore, corpses are piling up in samsara. Sayadaw gives examples of them. The first one is King Ajatasattu with Devadatta. The second is the elephant trainer's son Pesa. See the Khandharaka Sutta, Sutta number 51, Majjhima Nikaya. More than relating to personality, it is consorting with lobha, dosa, and moha unwholesome dharmas. If anicca dharma and magga dharma are fitting in, one is sure to attain nibbāna. Not seeing dharmas means there are hindrances covering them. A wanderer asked Sariputta about dukkha and sukha. Sariputta's answer was, if becoming again is dukkha, and not becoming again is sukha. The Buddha also said that birth is dukkha sakha, jatipi dukkha sakha. Inserting inside knowledge into the process cuts off the next birth. The Buddha exhorted us that after abandoning this khandha, not getting another khandha is the best thing to do. This is the same as Sariputta's answer to the wanderer. I will talk about inside knowledge and path knowledge. Sayadaw spoke about the 5 hindrances in gist. In this talk, he mostly talks about restlessness and remorse. The hindrances arise at the heart, hadaya vathu, and disappear at the same place. The mind does not stay at one place, running here and there is restlessness. Remorse has 2 kinds, remembering and thinking about unwholesomeness that one has done before. Don't think about them. If you do, it forbids nibbāna. If you do what the Buddha asked you, then it will not be forbidden. You should never think back to the unwholesome dharmas. You have to do what needs to be done. Thinking about merit that one has not done yet is also kakaka. Here is worry. Kakaka is related to misconduct and good conduct, dukkarita and sukkarita. These are unpleasant states of mind. If you do not think about them, you will not fall into apayas. Otherwise, you'll fall into apayas. Die with the contemplation of the impermanent khandha and do not remember them. Not knowing the truth means that samsara is very long. Knowing about the truth of dukkha is the most important. If you know dukkha sakha, then samudaya sakha is already abandoned. This point is very important. Falling in love with dukkha is falling in love with samudaya, and vice versa. When people are terminally ill or near death, this point becomes very clear. If you do not break up with avidya, you will never cut off from deaths. Deaths will never disappear if the khandha does not disappear, because the disappearance of the khandha is nibbāna. Sometimes, he asks the yogis if the khandhas vanish or not. Someone with the ending of anicca sees the thing that is able to die come to the end. The ending of death is seeing the deathless. Discerning anicca is the beginning of insight. Existing is udaya, and vanishing is vaya. As an example, Vedana arises, and when you observe, it is not there anymore. In Burmese is fit, arising, and payat, vanishing, seeing it through the 5 path factors. What does the commentary on the Anguttara Nikaya say about it? It says, let discern anicca, and the seeing of Nibbāna with the 8 path factors will arise. Therefore, don't let doubt come in, as, could I attain Nibbāna? I.e., if discerning anicca. The duty of yogis is to discern anicca. Just contemplate for the discernment of anicca. If you discern it, you are arriving at insight, and then you'll discern it in greater detail. Insight knowledge conditions the path knowledge with proximity condition, anantarapakayo. If you do not yet discern anicca, you have not arrived at the inside of Sāsana yet. The Buddha's teaching has not gone into your heart. Between the 2 knowledges of mundane and supramundane, to get the mundane knowledge is more important. The hindrances forbid you to see anicca and Nibbāna. Remorse and worry can come in near the practice of insight and near death. Note, see the 5th talk in part 13 with the title, Dealing with the 5 Spiritual Faculties and 5 Hindrances. Dhamma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw. The 4th of February 1961. Making Kammas becoming fruitless. D.A. processes are arising every day in your Khandha. If they are happening now, you have to cut them now. If not, you're collecting unwholesomeness, akasala. The DA process and the Khandha are the same. For example, Sukha Vedana arises. If you do not contemplate it, it connects to Tanha, Upadana, Kamma, etc. Each one of them is a Khandha. Tanha is the first Khandha. With one arising, the preceding one ceases, and the next Khandha arises by substituting, not changing into something else. Tanha and Upadana keep the results of Kamma from vanishing. When one Kamma finishes, it sends out another one. Therefore, everyone has the debts of Kamma. Without yet closing down the doors to rapayas, if you're wasting your time by not doing vipassana, it is foolish. After establishing samadhi and following with magga behind whatever Vedana arises, here Sayadaw taught about contemplation on feeling. Dhamma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw. The 25th of February 1961. Waiting for dangers. The Buddha said that if one does not practice vipassana, it is like waiting for dangers, from Anguttara. Number 1. This Khandha is going toward the danger of aging. Is it good to wait for the danger of aging? Or is it good to finish the practice before arriving there? We're tricked by Tanha. The danger of aging gives you a bad result. In vipassana, you have to persevere with good Kamma and good Nana, and with poor Kamma and poor Nana, it is impossible. Number 2. This Khandha is going toward the danger of sickness. To be free from sickness, you must do the practice before. Every time you are in good health, you have to work hard quickly. Number 3. It's not good to wait for the danger of death. At that time, it is more difficult to practice while dying. Note, this point is not in the original sutta. Instead of death, it mentions the danger of famine. Number 4. Because of differences in doctrines and views, people are dwelling in discord, disharmony, dispute, etc. This will be the danger of the future, already happening. Number 5. There will come a time when there will be a schism in the Sangha. If you don't cultivate the spiritual life, you are waiting for the 5 future dangers. At Dhamma chanting, Dhamma puja, people are making prayers to be free from dangers. In reality, they're waiting for all these dangers to arise. Their talkings and doings are not in accordance. About humans, the most difficult thing is admonishing oneself. Waiting for these dangers makes it difficult to admonish. Sayadaw continues to talk on the contemplation of feeling. 3 types of feeling are murderers. As an example, a fish sees a bait and goes near it to gulp the food. It is then pulled up on the boat and killed by the fisherman. Only by contemplating to the ending of Vedana will one be freed from the murderers. With the ending of Vedana, the other khandhas also come to an end. Some reflections on this talk. There are 4 suttas related to the future dangers. All of them are related to the monks. Of the 4 suttas, Sutta No 2 is also related to lay Buddhists. Therefore, Sayadaw is using this sutta to exhort and warn the listeners, most of whom are lay people. See Book of the Fives, Sutta number 77 to 80, Anguttara Nikaya. The dangers of aging, sickness and death are natural ones from which no one can escape. But the dangers of famine and human discords and disputes are related to human views, thinking and actions, which are human-made. So these are in our hands and we can control them. It's quite interesting to read what the Buddha mentioned about the future dangers of famine and human discords and disputes in the sutta. All these things have already happened in this 21st century, up to the international or global level. Because of greed, hatred, and delusion, the human mind is polluted and creates a lot of problems, dangers and disasters in societies and natural environments. Dhamma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw. The 28th of July 1961. The importance of saving oneself. Not practicing vipassana and wasting time with worldly matters is like watering the poison tree. The task of saving oneself is to listen to Dhamma and practice. When you are young, you have no chance to save yourself. As you grow up, it also increases with family matters. Therefore, coming to this human world is like being a human beast, animal. Only by conquering the kilesas will one become a sotapanna to an arahant. Kilesas are hiding in the khandha. Do kilesas die if you don't know the dangers, adhanavas, of them? Without discerning the anicca khandha, not knowing the dukkha, ungovernable anatta nature, and unable to contemplate the asubha nature, kilesas will not die. You'll conquer kilesas if you can contemplate and discern one of the 4 factors. If you never cut off the khandha process, the khandha will continue. When the khandha stops, tanha stops, which is nibbāna. With the 2 vata sakas, dukkha and samadaya, stop, and 2 vata sakas, nirodha and magga, arise, the problems will finish. If you don't know about the khandhas and kilesas, you live with blindness and craziness. In past lives, you were also living as blind and crazy people. Seeing the majority of humans, this point is quite clear. Because of that, we had encountered many dangers and difficulties. Don't be lazy in the practice. If you discern anicca, there is no need for any paramis. Anicca and magga will send you to nibbāna. Leave your family and business behind, because they can't save you. In the stomach is filth, urine and excrement, and on the khandha, body sweat. You're carrying around this asubha body and think of it as graceful. Practice vipassana without any concern for the khandha. The kammas controlled by tanha and upadana are disgusting. All humans who die with no understanding of DA are dying with wrong view. They die with the 3 wrong factors of wrong perception, knowing, and view. According to the Buddha, those who die with no chance to listen to Sanata Dhamma are dying with wrong view. How terrible is that? Is there any upward way? If you penetrate Sanata, you are closer to Sanata Nibbāna. Never discerning Sanatta, you have fallen down to Apayas. To have the holy Dhamma is not easy. Each day, the unwholesome Kammas arising from the 6 senses are one's own enemies. If you fall down to Apaya even once, it's not easy to come up again, to the human realm. Here there are more people near dying, so they're more important. Bhavatabba means vipassana magga. Insight knowledge has to be developed many times. You have to make friends with vipassana magga. Living beings make friends with good or bad kammas, but the real friend is Nana. Dharma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw. The 31st of July 1961. Die with wrong views. Today I'll talk about the DA processes arising from the body. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha warns us that if Sakkaya Ditthi does not fall away, the 4 Apaya realms are the frequent homes of living beings. Firstly, you have to strip off Sakkaya Ditthi with knowing. And after that, you must practice Dana, Sila, Samatha, and Vipassana. This point is very important and not just Sayadaw's idea. We can find it in the suttas, but before his time, monks did not emphasize it. This is one of the reasons most Buddhists have wrong views. Every time Phassa right-pointing arrow Vedana right-pointing arrow Tanna right-pointing arrow Upadana arise, you must know them. Every time, if you do not contemplate that they are not a person or a being, they become wrong views. With right attention, Ditthi falls off. So Yoniso is important. If Sakkaya Ditthi does not fall away, and one is doing merits, don't take it as, I am happy to die. As an example, Sayadaw refers to Queen Malika's story. Only with the right knowledge does the process of the practice become right. Therefore, whatever Dharma arises from the Khandha, follow with knowing. If Phassa arises, know it as Phassa. If Vedana arises, know it as Vedana. With the knowing, it becomes Magga. This Magga cuts off kilesas. Knowing of the arising Dharma means knowing by falling away, i.e., wrong view. Discerning Anicca is the falling away by contemplating. The first Nibbāna is very important. Even if I tell you that after the attainment, you just sleep, rest. And then the Dharma will continue by itself. Now it has the momentum. You learn the method or way here and practice it at home. With the good knowledge, Nana, you can attain it in 7 days. See the biography of the Ingu Sayadaw. He became Sotapanna within 6 days of practice, 2 sides of a coin. Nibbāna is near at your own Khandha, the 2 arm-length Khandha. Not knowing this, at the end of the Khandha, people take it as far away. Normally, people think the practice requires doing it bit by bit. There are some who encourage this way of bit-by-bit practice, but it often goes undone. From the age of 50 to over 50, Kamma and Nana are still good, and after 60 it's not good anymore. Buddhists should take this point seriously. Don't be afraid of starving to death. You have to be afraid of dying without Ditthi falling away. If you're like this, you will continue to starve. Your long life will be a long starving life, starving with Tanna. Upasakas and Upasikas prioritize their businesses first, and the matter of Ditthi falling away comes later, i.e., very unwise. Every time Tanna arises, there is no need to be in fear. You have to be afraid of not knowing when it is arising, it'll connect to clinging. In Satipatthana, it is mentioned to know when Tanna is arising. If you know it's arising, it becomes Magga. With this knowing, Sakkaya falls away and Ditthi Kamma does not arise. For example, the male boss Visakha, after becoming a Sotapanna to Anagami, still had Tanna, i.e., Bhava Tanna. Going to Apaya is not because of Tanna, but because of Ditthi. When it arises, Observe it with Nana to see if it exists or not. If you see its arising and vanishing, this is abandoning through contemplation. If Phassa arises and you miss it, and it leads to Vedana, then you must contemplate the anicca of Vedana. You can close the doors to apayas only with Magga. Now, I'll show you the way to abandon the doors to apayas. Only this becomes safety from apayas. This time, don't follow up to Tanna, Upadana, and Kamma. Instead, contemplate the anicca of the arising of Vedana, 3 types of feeling. If you can contemplate the ending of Vedana, it is Nibbāna, from the Samyutta Nikaya. The ending of the Khandha, here, Vedana, is Nibbāna. Khandha is fuel and kilesas are fire. The Buddha taught Agavaka Brahman in this way. Before you die, you have to observe and discern the ending of dukkha, which is Nibbāna. It's better to make yourself safe before you die. Dhamma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw. The 10th of December 1960. What is in the Khandha? It's important to know what exists in one's Khandha. You all will say that the hair of the head, hair of the body, teeth, bones, etc. are there. It's also not wrong because the Buddha also taught about Asubha meditation. You have to continue to ask what is existing in these things. There is one thing that still exists in the 32 parts of the body. It's important to know that the I, me enters in each one of them. Only then will Sakkaya Ditthi fall away. If you have Ditthi, it will forbid Nibbāna. With the practice of the meditation on the 32 bodily parts of Asubha, if the I and me still do not fall away, it means it's only Samatha. If you cannot strip off the I-ness, you won't know about Nibbāna and can't arrive there. It was mentioned clearly in the Majjhimapanassa. Ditthi sticks with the clearly existing things. Head hair really exists. Ditthi sticks to this place. It also sticks to teeth and hair, such as my hair, my teeth, etc. The Buddha gave a simile to show how important it is to destroy Sakkaya Ditthi. You have to destroy it first, even when your chest is pierced with a spear and your head hair is burning with fire. The reason behind this is quite clear. With spear and fire, you only die once. But with Sakkaya Ditthi, you'll continue to die many times to come, and the worst thing is you will be mostly in the realms of apaya as hell beings, animals, and ghosts. Therefore, the Buddha said you have to destroy Ditthi first. Many Buddhas have been arisen as numerous as the sand grains in the Ganges river. It is quite certain that we have encountered some of them. Why are we still not free from dukkha? Because we have always had one of the Sasata and Akeda did this with us until now, wandering samsaric by carrying heavy burdens. There are many, and continuing walking on the rough road of sickness. With Ditthi we don't know the truth. Therefore, we are unable to strip off Ditthi. In the Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha mentioned that if having Ditthi, we cannot get the knowledge according to truth, Sakkanalomika Nana. Wandering in samsara is not due to little merits from dana, sila, and samatha, but because Ditthi has not fallen off, so we have not attained Nibbāna. And then Sayadaw talked about Agavaka Brahman. He asked 10 questions to the Buddha. The main points were 2 things, mind and body as loka and as person and being. All 10 of them were included in these 2 wrong views. Even though he was in the Buddha's time, he did not know about Sanata, Panati, and Paramatta Dhammas, which caused them to arise. The majority of Buddhists today are also in the same way. The importance of the last question was, then, "Sir, please tell me your view." The answer was, if you discern the arising and passing away of the 5 khandhas, this is right view. Q. What is the benefit of this view? Continuously seeing the arising of phenomena makes one free from the view of annihilationism, and continuously seeing the vanishing phenomena makes one free from the view of eternalism. If you have this right view, tanha, mana, and ditthi will cease. Samsara will be cut off. This is the view that leads to Nibbāna. With tanha, mana, and ditthi ceased, where does this person go after death? The Brahman asked with ditthi again. Not understanding of dependent co-arising leads to ditthi, and one does not understand Nibbāna and does not appreciate it. Dhamma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw. The 12th of December 1960. The Four Dangers. It's important to know the four dangers mentioned by the Buddha in Anguttara Nikaya. Only by knowing about the dangers will you shun them. Once you know the place is not good, you will want to change the place. There are four dangers: birth, aging, sickness, and death. Clinging to one's Khandha, family members, and wealth is the same as a vulture liking or loving the putrid carcass of a dead dog. Living beings are happy wherever they are. Being happy with dangers is samadaya tanha. Being pushed down to dangers is ignorance. Encountering the four dangers is due to avidya and sankhara. If there is no avidya and sankhara, knowledge arises and the condition becomes unconditioned. Avidya and sankhara are also like someone who is blind, and when walking, they tumble down and get injuries. Here, avidya is not seeing, blindness, sankhara is action, walking, injuries are jati, jara, vyādi, and marana. In practicing vipassana, don't delay the practice until tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. Days, months, and years are related to the sun and moon. They will constantly change until the world is destroyed. Doomsday with darkness is where humans' kilesas excel them. Your khandhas are not like this. You can't delay or extend the time. Therefore, you have to search for a parting road, from the defiled path to the purified path, before arriving at sickness. Dhamma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw. The 6th of August 1961. For the cessation of existence. Whatever merits you are doing, don't do it for a good existence. This is because you don't know about the truth. After death and birth arises, what goodness is there? From dukkha, it connects to dukkha only. I am emphatically urging you to practice for the cessation of existence. Transmigration of existence, existence connects existence, is sasata ditthi. Taking it as good is not knowing dukkha sakha. Where is the goodness in that? Transmigration in existences is the greatest fault. Note, the above paragraph is very good for thorough contemplation. Very few Buddhist monks teach the essence of Buddhism. Ledi Sayadaw and Mogok Sayadaw are very good examples. Even though we do not have the chance to know Ledi Sayadaw's Dhamma talks, we still have the chances to read and study his Dhamma Dapanis and Dhamma poems. Sayadaw was a great Dhamma poet. He wrote some of these in his life, quite well known to Burmese Buddhists. The poems are profound and deep, but no one has translated them yet. Only the Arahant can abandon Sukha Sana and Sukha Chitta. This is related to the 12 inversions. Only a once-returner and a non-returner can abandon Subha Sana. Do you know how broad the inversions are? If you don't abandon the inversion of view with knowledge, Nata Parina, practicing will not help you attain Dhamma. You won't even get the Sakanalomika Nana, and Nibbāna will be far away. The person is only one, but with 12 kinds of craziness, they become unbalanced. He is going into craziness one by one. Patakara was a Dithamataka, lunatic with view. In samsara, beings are in shame, and disadvantage is created by ditthi. Insight means observing one's own death. The smell of a flower and the nose coming into contact is phassa. At that moment, one is alive with phassa. Phassa conditions Vedana. With the cessation of phassa, Vedana arises. At that moment, one is alive with Vedana. Does Vedana arise by itself? Phassa gives it the chance to arise. If you discern the vanishing phenomenon, you are free from the Sasata view, permanent. With the discernment of the causes which lead to results, you are free from the Akeda view. If you know this and die unexpectedly, you will not fall into apayas in the next life, because you will have become a Kala Sotapanna. People think that because of good Kamma they are alive. In reality, they are alive with the arising mind. It's more true that the result of Kamma is not yet expired. Therefore, the mental process is still going on. Dhamma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw. The 7th of August 1961. Dhamma increasing of dukkha. Dhamma increasing one's dukkha are wrong perception, wrong knowing, and wrong viewing of things. One with wrong perception tanha, ditthi arises right pointing arrow. Two with wrong knowing leads to wrong clinging, ditthupadana right pointing arrow. Three with wrong action right pointing arrow wrong attaining, it becomes dukkha sakka. So a wrong perception connects two lives. Each day, how many perceptions of son, daughter, husband, and wife arise? They are uncountable. The ditthi that controls the arising of kammas is also uncountable, as are the seeds to apayas. You have come to this human world for a visit, and after death you will go to apayas. All these wrong things must be contemplated forcefully with insight knowledge. You have to practice like rubbing two pieces of bamboo until fire comes out. Your wrongness is so strong and higher than Mount Meru. You have to look after your health while practicing with effort. The Buddha himself mentioned that with good health one would achieve it. Right perception, right pointing arrow, right knowing, right pointing arrow, right clinging, right pointing arrow, right effort. If you separate the 5 khandhas with the satipatthana, you will get 4 of them. Whatever it may be, at last, it goes into the truth. Whatever khandha or satipatthana you observe, you only discern anicca. Anicca is dukkha sakka. All the 5 khandhas are inside dukkha sakka. Anicca, dukkha, and anatta are teaching people accordingly. In reality, it's only dukkha sakka. Dhamma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw. The 19th of August 1961. The most fearful thing. Wrong view is the most fearful thing. Before you're doing dana and sila, you have to clear away 3 wrong views, i.e., Sakkaya, Sasata, and Akeda did this. As a Buddhist, you may have a wrong view, and taking oneself as not having it is the worst thing. If you go and ask the practitioners, what is Nibbāna? If they answer with, I don't know, then they are overwhelmed by ignorance. Having general knowledge, Bahasutta, and answering as, Nibbāna has nothing exists after the cessation of mind and body process, this is answering with Akeda ditthi. Ordinary not knowing is not a problem, but knowing with Akeda ditthi is fearful. Most of you are coming from hells. This is not an exaggeration. At the time of suffering in hells, you were making the determination that after freeing from hells and arriving in the human realm, I'll do the task of ending of dukkha. After you arrive here, you are deceived by the surroundings and waste your time. This point all Buddhists should contemplate seriously. Nibbāna has the characteristic of peacefulness. It is extinct from Kilesa fire and Khandha fuel, or they do not exist there. When talking about Nibbāna, the appreciation will come only by knowing dukkha sakka clearly. This is one of the main reasons most humans have wrong views and don't like it. With an understanding of dukkha comes understanding and appreciation of Nibbāna. For worldlings, Their craziness for sensual pleasures has no limits. For the Buddha and Arya Savakas, these pleasures are filthy. They are like the yellowish, smelly, disgusting stuff in the pit toilet is for the white worms. No appreciation of Nibbāna comes from no appreciation of dukkha. Sayadaw continues to explain the vipassana process. At the time of discerning anicca, the yogi knows the fuel and fire are burning together. They are together up to the knowledge of disenchantment. And then, with the ending of anicca, dukkha sakka, the yogi sees the place of peacefulness. Nibbāna is really existent. The yogi knows about the existence of peace. This is the cessation of Khandha fuel and Kilesa fire. The Khandhas are continuously arising as part of the continuing process of vipaka vata Khandhas. It is like fuel, Khandhas, and fire, Kilesas, which are burning and disappearing. This is the impermanence of the Khandhas, continuously arising. With the knowing of these Dhamma, the doors to apaya are closed for one life, i.e., for the next life. Dhamma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw. The 21st of September 1961. The essence of the Buddha Sāsana. The Buddha would select what kind of Dhamma is the essence of his Sāsana. The first person seeking heartwood came to a great tree, standing and possessed of heartwood. He would cut off its twigs and leaves and take them away, thinking of it as heartwood. The second person cut off its outer bark, thinking it was heartwood. The third person cut off its inner bark. The fourth person cut off its sapwood, thinking it was heartwood. The fifth person cut off its heartwood and took it away. Based on the discourse on the simile of the heartwood, Majjhima Nikaya, the Buddha will be glad only if we can find the essence of Dhamma which cannot be destroyed. We have to think about, by using the 5 similes, what kinds of Dhamma we are doing within the Sāsana. If you are listening to Dhamma talks only for merits, it is like the first person taking twigs and leaves. This refers to all works for good destination, good rebirth. Path knowledge are unbroken and imperishable Dhamma. These are the real essence, the heartwood. Sila leads to long life and gives the result of being free from dangers. In the Sāsana, there are people who only have contentment with Sila. Even these people are not many. See the chaos and problems in societies up to the international level. Some practice samatha and gain some psychic phenomena, but they are content with it. The Buddha did not praise them. Some practice samatha and gain jhanic avana. At the time of the near doomsday, everyone attains jhanas and is able to fly in the air and dive into the earth. The fifth person is like those who practice the Noble Eightfold Path and realize magga and phala. They are people practicing to attain the 9 supramundane dhammas, 4 path knowledges, 4 fruits, and Nibbāna. The other practices with results can be destroyed by kammas and can lead to apayas, i.e., they are uncertain because of the complicated working of kamma. These are broken because they have no essence in them. I'm not finding faults with them. In looking for the essence of Dhamma, these are not the essence, so I have to say this. If you want to look for the essence of Dhamma, you must start from vipassana. If you still don't have the path and fruit knowledge, you have to note that, I still don't have the essence of Dhamma yet. Then your practice can be broken, perish, and disappear. This is one of the reasons we're still in samsara. It's quite stable if you attain the first path. It only has 7 lives to go. At most, this depends on the person. Even an arahant was fried with oil by a king's order. He didn't have defilements, but he still had to suffer because of the Khandha that existed. I have no knowledge about this story. Another example is Mahamoggallana, a well-known incident to most Buddhists. He was beaten by bandits. If you are still satisfied with the first path, then you still want to be beaten, like Mahamoggallana. You still want to die in a serious way. The dangers of the Khandha are very bad indeed. Some Buddhists want to be like Visakha, female boss, and Sakka, king of gods, as Sotapanna who enjoy sensual pleasures, because they think they are free from the apayas. This shows people still can't see the dangers and faults of the burdened Khandhas. There's no danger and fault greater than the Khandhas, warned by the Buddha also. If you attain the first path, it's better to climb upward. Dhamma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw. The 22nd of September 1961. The owner of the Khandha. In samsara, we were born, jati, live, pavati, and died, marana, again and again. These cycles would be uncountable. We have to search for the culprit behind these things. In this way, we can free ourselves from this vata dukkha, rounds of suffering. At near death, craving makes arrangements of where to take birth. Action, Kamma, is the house builder. The owner who orders to make the Khandha house is craving. Craving is asking the builder of Kamma where to build the Khandha house. It's quite sure that Tanha is the main culprit. At the time he became Buddha, he made the exclamation to Tanha, "Tanha, the builder, in the future you couldn't build the Khandha house for me." This does not include action in it, so Kamma is not determined by it. The Khandha house has the dangers of aging, sickness, and death. According to the DA process, no denial is possible because of Kamma vata and Vipaka vata which arises. But Kamma has to build the Khandha house in accordance with the preference of Tanha, i.e., in accordance with the clinging of Tanha and Kamma, which throw it down there. Closing parenthesis. If one is clinging to family members and possessions at near death, accordingly with the clinging, one will get the type of Khandha, Pita Khandha. Through examination, one has to be freed from Kilesa vata. So it's unnecessary to say to Kamma that you have to leave. Therefore, the Buddha did not make Kamma the cause of dukkha, but rather craving. With the cause of Tanha Samadaya Sakka, the result of Khandha Dukkha Sakka arises. It's more true to say that it is because of Tanha that one encounters serious dukkha rather than because of Kamma. One can't overcome Tanha, so it has to happen. Only then do you have right view. In the ocean of samsara, drifting living beings from this life to that life is Tanha. Some people used to say, I have to suffer according to the arrangement of Kamma. They're wrong. Whatever dukkha arises, it is because of Tanha, which also includes ditthi. Ditthi is the great Tanha which makes beings suffer in the four apayas. If you are unable to destroy Tanha, you will be drifted away by it. Even if you don't know from where you came, Tanha is like water drifting you until you arrive at the human port, i.e., this life. Again, encountering the sense objects of human life increases Tanha. Therefore, whatever of drifting and sinking, wholesome and unwholesome, is the power of Tanha. Tanha is the drifter, and beings are graspers who grasp or cling to things blindly. From a past life, Tanha like water drifted the being until it arrived at this life. After arriving here, what is he doing in this life? On either bank of the river, there are 5 trees growing at the edge. In the sutta, it mentions kusa grass, rushes, reeds, or trees. It's unnecessary to say that the drifting person wants to climb on the bank. The 5 trees on the edge of the bank refer to the 5 khandhas. They were eroded by river currents and the roots were exposed, i.e., unstable and related to the anicca nature. The branches are also inclining toward the water. The drifter tries to grasp them, but they fall on him. Beings are regarding the 5 khandhas, form, consciousness, by grasping, clinging to them as if they are me and mine, Sayadaw gives examples for each one of them. Therefore, whatever life you are in, you are never having free time. The Buddha in this sutta described only one's own khandhas. But you are including your family members and other khandhas as things to grasp. If there is no clinging, life will be boring for you. You have satisfaction only as a drifter and sinker. If it is like this, people can't transfer merits to you. You are searching for these things as reliance. But the Buddha said these are for sinking. Therefore, except for Dhamma, don't rely on anything. Now, you all are grasping blindly. With no inside knowledge, life will be this way. It's important to observe them as impermanence, anicca. This talk is based on the Nadi Sutta of Khandha Samyutta, SN 22. 93. You have to search for the shore of Nibbāna. Don't search for grasping, clinging. With the cessation of clinging, tears will stop. You must shun away from the river bank trees. Whatever khandha you're asking for, it will be fallen off. Therefore, in samsara, we have missed many Buddhas, with tanha upadana. With more grasping, there will be more falling. You're grasping them to die again and again. Becoming a drifter is a little better, a bit more comfortable, i.e., merits. Isn't it too bad for a sinker? I.e., demerits or unwholesome states. The Buddha is asking you to not grasp, cling, and pull with tanha, but to observe with panna. You have to always observe them as unstable, impermanent. This lets tanha, kilesas, stop, and you can't drift away, i.e., staying with anicca. And then you'll arrive at the bank of Maganga. Before this, you're seeing the falling off of anicca. Liberation from the drifting and sinking dharmas is only through insight practice. Whatever dharma you're contemplating, it is important to discern anicca. In this way, tanha water dries up and it's unable to drift you away. And then you are liberated from the falling of khandha trees. This is the freedom from drifting and sinking dharmas. Dhamma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw. The 23rd of September 1961. On the main road to Nibbāna. The ears listen to the Dharma and Nana has to turn around the khandhas. In this way, the knowing and the existing Dharma fit together. If you ask me, what Nana is it? You get the Yathabhuta Nana. What's Yathabhuta Nana? There is no man nor woman, not a person, and not a being in the khandha. It only exists as anicca. If you discern these two factors, you're close to Nibbāna. Don't think about, what'll happen to me. If you continue in this way, you will arrive at Nibbāna. People who don't get Yathabhuta Nana want to become human and celestial beings, Devata. If you get this Nana, you will not want to become any of them. You only have the desire to arrive at Nibbāna, the cessation of dukkha. Yathabhuta Nana means, knowing as it really is. According to the Buddha, if you end up at other people's mouths, you become like cotton wool moving around here and there. In a past life, one encountered the danger of not knowing. In this life, one ends up at other people's mouths and encounters the danger of wrong view. Only by knowing the wrong thing and knowing the benefit of the right thing does it become clear. If you still don't get the Yathabhuta Nana, you will always encounter the two dangers of not knowing and wrong view, from Sakka Samyutta. If you correct the danger of wrong view, you will also be freed from the danger of not knowing. It refers to ditthi and avijja falling away. It's vipassana nana, Yathabhuta Nana. Someone discerning anicca is free from the two dangers of not knowing and wrong view. If you discern anicca by listening to Dhamma, you are close to Nibbāna. With the continuing practice, one becomes wearisome of anicca, and with the ending of it, one arrives at Nibbāna. Dhamma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw. The 28th of September 1961. Following the Khandha with knowledge. Dharma practice only appears in the Buddha Sāsana, so it's very important. Even becoming a normal human being is quite difficult. Don't waste the time. In the past, most people recited Anicca with their mouths, and wise Anicca was very rare indeed. Most elderly people are using the rosary beads to recite it. If you don't want to handle rosary beads, it is all right. If you follow the Anicca Khandha with Nana, it is enough. If you practice in this way, it becomes Anicca Vipassana or Aniccanupassana. There is great benefit from Anicca Vipassana. You are cutting off your own dukkha, diya process, and will arrive at Nibbāna. If you contemplate often in this way, the craving of, I want, I desire, etc. becomes thinner and thinner, and with long practice, it disappears. Tanha becomes thin if you develop Anicca Sana and also see it as disgusting. If you don't want nor desire anything, you will know that Tanha is becoming thinner. This happens because you discern a lot of arising and vanishing of Anicca. Nana develops slowly as disgust and disenchantment. This comes from the Anguttara Nikaya. I don't want you to see Anicca with your eyes. Even this, most people don't know and can't see. With Nana, discerning them in the Khandha is like water bubbles bursting. Discerning the minds is like water foams. This is killing of Tanha, Upadana, and Kamma. Then birth can't arise. With the cutting off of the causes, the results are also cut. It's the ending of one's own dukkha, so you have to practice it without laziness. Before, it was your own making Anicca. Now I'm showing you by asking you to discern the Anicca that the Dhamma, Khandha, displays to you. You contemplate it with Nana as, it's right, it's right. Tanha becomes thin by seeing it as disgusting. With the thinning of Tanha, it at last ceases. By following the arising and vanishing of the Khandha as it displays itself to you, you will arrive at Nibbāna. This is the result of Ditta Dhamma, direct seeing. In the Dhamma guna, excellent qualities of Dhamma include akalika, which means giving the result without delay. Giving the result only by contemplating, developing. If you recite it, it is only samatha. With contemplation, you attain magga. With recitation, you get samadhi. By seeing dukkha, dosa thins out and knowledge of fear arises. It is fearful to get this Khandha. With the thinning of dosa, bhaya nana arises, fearfulness. It's certain that Tanha and dosa become thinner by contemplating Anicca. If you know it as the arising and vanishing of dukkha sakha, you don't want any realm and life, and become fearful. Only with the fear of Khandha will you not get it. Non-self also can't stop the arising and vanishing, which means not self. On the Khandha body, pleasure arises. You want it to stay longer, but it doesn't and disappears. By discerning anatta, tanha, mana, and ditthi thin out. This point is mentioned by the Buddha in the Anguttara Nikaya. People who discern Anicca are discerning all three of them, i.e., the three lakshanas. The Buddha teaches three lakshanas according to three types of people. In reality, they are one. The Buddha taught them according to their past lives, habitual formations, vasana. In reality, anicca vata sankhara, all conditioned phenomena are impermanent, sabbe dhamma anatta, all dharma are non-self, panchupadanakanda dukkha, the five clinging khandhas are dukkha. You have to contemplate the five khandhas so that they are all the same. Therefore, if you contemplate anicca, it finishes the task. If Dhamma shows you anicca, it becomes anicca nana. If it shows dukkha, it becomes dukkha nana. If it shows anatta, it becomes anatta nana. Knowledge develops by itself and is not made by oneself. It's developed by contemplation. Sayadaw points to two plastic cups in front of him. This side of the cup is anicca, i.e., object. This cup is contemplative jnana. Combining them together becomes the knowledge of anicca. Therefore, it's not the name of contemplative knowledge. It's the name of the object of contemplation. We're following the name of the object of contemplation. It's clear. It's not about making it happen. Knowing it accordingly with the Dhamma shows its true nature. Jnana takes the name of the object of contemplation. Only what the Dhamma tells you is right. It's not right just by reciting. It becomes anicca and dukkha and anatta jnanas respectively, based on the Dhamma signs. It does not relate to jnana. The nature of jnana is only knowing. Therefore, if you still do not discern Dhamma, do not contemplate as anicca. It becomes vipassana jnana only by what the Dhamma is showing you. Do not take it from a book, which is only a record. The practice of vipassana is to know oneself. The process is about oneself. Not knowing oneself means that living beings are encountering many kinds of dukkha. This jnana is made by Dhamma, not by prayers. Wisdom perfection arises by contemplating Dhamma. So Buddhism is not a blind faith. Confidence comes from direct experience without judgment and coloring. Sayadaw continues on Sakka's questions. The Buddha Dharma arrives in your body. This jnana ought to become a Dharma settiya. Flesh, blood, bones are like bricks and cement. If you contemplate three types of feeling with their anicas, and papanka dies right pointing arrow, vitaka dies right pointing arrow, issa, makarya die, see the Sakapana Sutta, Digha Nikaya, DN 21. Dharma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw. The 3rd of October 1961. Permanent and temporary homes. The Buddha taught these with his deep and wide knowledge that the permanent homes of living beings are the four woeful planes. Human and celestial realms are only temporary visits, sightseeing and indulgence in pleasures. Don't be satisfied with your small good results. You have to note that these are still not worthy. From here you have to go to apayas, for most humans today. For example, you take a pebble and throw it upward into the air. Its going upward and staying there for a moment is very short indeed, and the pebble falls to the ground again. The time of staying for a moment in the air is very insignificant compared with staying on the ground. Generally, unwholesomeness, akasala dharma, of living beings, especially humans, is extremely muddy. You can only kill the hellish seed of wrong views and doubts in this human world. It's very difficult to kill them in heaven and Brahma heavens. Only in this human world the Sakka Dharma and Paticcasamuppada Dharma exist. Even these dharmas are quite rare now. If you don't practice, what the Khandha and Jnana know will just go to woeful existences. You have to practice very quickly, because the Khandha is running toward death. The Khandha process is, whatever you're doing, I'll go to the cemetery. People are shamelessly making prayers for becoming bhava in front of the Buddha statue, later Buddhists. It's quite ugly indeed by seeing with the knowledge of knowing Sakka. With wrong attention, people take dukkha Sakka as sukha Sakka. Wrong attention is like the soil, not knowing, avidya, is like the seed, and affection for family members and possessions is like pouring water, tanna, on the soil with the seed. Therefore, the Khandha of dukkha Sakka tree grows out from the soil and later bears dukkha fruits, and avidya seeds fall again on the soil. In this way, samsara is revolving. Dukkha will end by planting the vidya seed on the soil of right attention and pouring saddha water, faith, on it. This is a strong samvega talk on the importance of practice to end painful births, which are permanent places for most human beings. Dhamma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw. The 17th of November 1961. Why not see Nibbāna? B. Starting with the 6 attributes of Dhamma. Dhamma is calling at you and then it disappears. If you follow it, you will see it's not existing. What kind of not existing is there? It is from existence to not existing. At the time of calling you, it exists, but when you follow it, then it'll tell you, I am dead. Don't follow with the hand but with Nana. It'll tell you, I am Anicca. In this way, lobha, dosa, and moha do not arise. This is a kaliko, now giving the result. Kilesas not arising is Nibbāna, Khandha Nibbāna. If you are not able to follow it, samsara will become long. In reality, Vipassana Dhamma is included in the 6 attributes of Dhamma taught by the Buddha, but we don't know it. If you are unable to follow the Dhammas, you not see Anickas. Buddhists take a kalika as only Nibbāna, but it's not true. The DA process is cut off from the beginning to the end. See the 12 links chart. It means lobha, dosa, and moha do not follow behind. You're following the deceiving dharmas, kilesas, and do not find Nibbāna. Without encountering good teachers, even if someone has perfection, it becomes fruitless. Ahosi Kammas. Sayadaw gave the example of King Ajatasattu. Even if Sariputta had paramis when meeting with Sanjaya, he achieved nothing. His first teacher or wrong teacher, Papamata. This point is very important for yogis who want to end dukkha. There is much evidence in suttas and modern-day yogis' stories. It leads to wasting their time and perfections. Cooling down of kilesas is Nibbāna. Therefore, when lobha, dosa, and moha do not arise, it is Nibbāna. Don't believe what other people say, but believe what the Khandhas is telling you. Opanayiko, the Nana following Anickas will lead to Nibbāna directly. Pakatam veditabo vinuhi. Only those who are doing the practice will see and know Nibbāna. You do it and will get it, referring to Magga Dhamma, Phala Dhamma, and Nibbāna Dhamma. The Buddha used to say only one thing, it exists, is true and beneficial. So Dhamma exists, and with the right practice, one can attain the results. Dhamma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw. The 16th of March 1962. Not yours. You have to know that none of the 5 khandhas are mine. Whatever khandha arises, you have to contemplate it in this way. You may not believe this. If you practice with faith, it is easy to succeed. Without faith, you will never start the practice. With a lot of doubt, it becomes a hindrance. For example, in summer, the body is hot and in winter it's cold. These are made by temperature. While sitting, due to the pressure of the upper body and the floor beneath, the feeling or sensation of pain and aches arises. This is not made by me and you have to contemplate that this is not mine. Sayadaw continues to give examples for the other khandhas. In the arising of phenomena, there is no inclusion of my effort. In the vanishing of them, there is also no inclusion of me. With the causes, it comes into being and without the causes, it vanishes. Contemplate according to the Buddha's instruction. What is the benefit of it? You are able to abandon your khandha body, especially near death. You can do it because it's not mine. This is a teaching on killing of tanha. It's a teaching of killing upadana, kamma, jati, and marana. This is the teaching on the cessation of samudaya and dukkha. Tanha, upadana, and kamma are samudaya sakka, and jati and marana are dukkha sakka. In abandoning samudaya sakka, you must know dukkha sakka thoroughly. Abandon the 2 truths of enemies and associate with 2 truths of friends. Contemplation is magga. Seeing the cessation is nirodha. When you contemplate that this is not mine, the four truths arise. This talk is based on Khandha Vagga Samyutta. The Buddha gave the following example. Some people take the grasses in the Jetavana monastery, some trample on it, and some burn it. Do the monks watching nearby waver? The monks answer, "It's nothing happen to us, because these do not belong to us." Therefore, contemplate on one's khandha in this way. Even a tooth or head hair are not ours. You make it yours, which become trembling. The important point is that whatever you are thinking about to say or do, at first, you have to know it as, "This is not mine." This is the way the Buddha taught to abandon the two truths which should be abandoned, samudaya and dukkha. Dhamma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw. 18th to the 20th of March 1962. The oceans never dry. Ocean means a lot of water. According to the Buddha, there are still things greater than that. There are 6 oceans comprising human eyes, ears, nose, etc. that exist in the Khandha body. The eye doors are never satisfied with seeing things. It never seems enough for them. They never fill up, even at death. The real ocean still can be dried up when 7 suns come out, appear, but the 6 oceans of sense doors never dry up. See the 7 Suns discourse in the Anguttara Nikaya, Book of Sevens. They never dry up even as lives continue on and on. These are the real oceans. Enough with seeing and listening never arises with human beings. They are never free from paying taxes for these holes. What are you doing every day? You are filling these things with water that can't be full. Sayadaw gave many examples for the 6 sense doors in daily life. Humans should really contemplate the dangers and destruction coming from the indulgence of sensual pleasures which are lowly and momentary. The price for them is too much, even relating to human survival. See severe climate changes and pollution of the earth. Human stupidity is extremely strong. Even when one's own Khandha ocean can't be filled, they're searching for the Khandhas of family members. They are doing the tasks that will never finish, even after death. The Buddha said that a fool is alone in filling these 6 oceans, from Salayatana Samyutta, Samudra Sutta. You must be able to distinguish between one's own business and the business of others. The oppressive nature of the Khandha is its own matter. Your own business or matter is separated from it. Making fulfillment for the desire of the 6 sense doors is not one's business. If you take on the duties of the Khandha, that is its business. You know the Khandha as dukkha and make an effort to separate from it. This is one's own matter. The matter of becoming a slave for the Khandha is its matter. The matter of struggling to be free from the Khandha is one's business. Regarding the Khandha, its matters are many and one's matters are little. Someone who doesn't know the Dhamma never concerns themselves with their own matters. Doing the Khandha's business is samudaya and dukkha sakkha's. Doing one's own business is magga and nirodha sakkha's. The 4 truths are included there. Note, the above talk can be summarized as focusing on one's own welfare versus the welfare of the Khandha. One's welfare is to end dukkha, whereas the welfare of the Khandha is continuing or enlarging dukkha. From the Sutta teachings and Sayadaw's talks, we know our human stupidity has no limits and is quite dangerous. It makes the readers or listeners develop strong samvega and weariness toward the world. The Buddha exhorts us to avoid places where we should not go. If one's body has sores and wounds, entering into the thorny wood is not good. The whole body is covered with sores, and one who has sores must shun away from thorns. If not, it increases dukkha domanassa, physical and mental pains. All the 6 sense doors are sores. If you open your eyes and take it as affectionate, then the lobha sore grows. Family members are thorns. Therefore, lobha, dosa, moha, etc., sores increase. Love and hate sores of lobha and dosa arise by contacting the objects of thorn. People want to go to these places and seek pleasures even though Dhamma forbids them. Whoever lacks vipassana always has the moha sore arise. The Khandha is Vedanakanda that already has sores. He doesn't know about Vedana and also enters into the thorny wood. This patient is a crazy one. It means he is worried about not getting dukkha that he has to enter into the thorns. The Buddha was asking, why do these things happen? According to him, it is due to not understanding restraint and having no restraint, samvara and asamvara. Therefore, people have no restraints. It happens due to a lack of restraint on sense objects and sense doors. If you don't want this to happen, contemplate the anakas of aramanas and varas, objects and doors. Samvara is very important. With satipatthana practice, you will not be pricked by thorns and no increase in sores. Without vipassana, you are not free from sores, and they only increase. It can be called indriya samvara or vipassana. Dharma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw. 24th, the 25th of May 1962. On wrong view and doubt. Vijnana and citta are the same. There are more wrong views on the mind than on others, body, feeling, etc. Therefore I give you cittanupassana for entering the stream. All the minds arise by two causes, i.e., aramanas and varas. The cause is anicca and the result is also anicca. Not disenchanting and not desiring anicca means forever dukkha will not cease. As a shadow arises by the mirror and person, minds are like shadows. Doubt and wrong view die by knowing cause and effect with anicca. Doubt is delusion, moha. Avijja pakaya sankara right pointing arrow vinanam. It continues the DA process. Therefore the Buddha said that he was afraid of doubt, not knowing the truths that samsara is long. If doubt falls away by listening to talk, you will not go to apayas. If you die now, you will not go there. You all only contemplate as, it vanishes, etc. No need to analyze them as cause and effect. This duty is finished with the teacher. After it falls away with perception, sana, I am asking you to contemplate with panna. Falling away with sana is with the teacher's exposition, and it falls away with noting. If you die, you will not go to apayas for one life, i.e., next life. If it falls away with wisdom, you will never go there. Enter the stream. Now, people are talking as it happens by itself and take it as non-self, anatta, i.e., not with one's desire or nature. In reality, anatta means the cause is anatta and the result is anatta. This is the real nature of anatta. If you take it as it happens by its nature, it becomes ahatuka ditthi, i.e., without any causes. The cause is dukkha and the result is also dukkha. You have to analyze the causes and effects relationship with the three universal characteristics. Sayadaw continues to talk about the monk sati. He took the view of life that life connecting and no changing was sasata ditthi, similar to the transmigration of the soul. It was something like a gemstone, e.g., ruby, that is changing hands from hands. This talk was given in Mogok. Connections of mind processes are the connecting of samsara. The mind processes are sending it there. If the mind processes are cut off, then samsara is cut off. It doesn't mean past lives were cut off. If the mind process is cut off and life-to-life connection is also cut off. If you have a long life with unwholesome minds, then it's a bad long life. According to the Buddha, 100,000 humans die and only one person takes rebirth at a good destination. So if animals died, there is no need to mention them. If a being falls into a pious, it is very difficult to rise up again to a good destination. Tell the story of monk Sati who had a wrong view. Regarding to the new birth, one can give the example of a stamp and its mark on a paper. Here the mark is the result of the stamp. The stamp does not follow through into the mark. Here the stamp is the cause of the mark. Only the quality of the stamp is included in the mark. Taking him as a cause and effect connection, and ditthi falls away. If taking him as having no connection between cause and effect, then it becomes Akeda view, and following that there is Sasata view. Merit also has two kinds, arriving at Nibbāna and not arriving there. After ditthi falls away and one does merit, it gives the result of Nibbāna. Otherwise it'll not arrive there. Note, for the proper way of doing merits, see my translation of 2 talks in part 7, perform a dana properly and dana and the ending of dukkha. The monk Sati had not abandoned his wrong view, Sasata, so the Buddha reprimanded him strongly as he was far from the path and fruit and devoid of them. Dhamma talks by Mogok Sayadaw. The 13th of June 1962. Who created dukkha? Dukkha is not given by others, e.g., God, with punishments. The dharmas in the Khandha are giving you dukkha. You get dukkha because you are unable to cut off the cause of dukkha in your Khandha. Not knowing the right cause means that it becomes ahatuka ditthi, causeless view. When people suffer, they blame it on others. What about the doctrine of a creator? Could it be counted in the Ahatukavada? Closing parenthesis. Sayadaw continues to talk about Samasana Sutta from Samyutta Nikaya. Asterisk. Where is Jara and Marana coming from? If you want to think, you must think about truth. Only by finding out the enemy who will kill you can you exterminate him. Aging comes from the 5 khandhas, refer to aging and death. You have to be aged by the heat element, tejo, brought with oneself, Khandha. And you must die with it. Therefore in Nibbāna there are no 4 great elements. Where is the Khandha coming from? It comes from making prayers with tanha. Prayers like, may I become a human being, a devata, and not let me separate from my family members, etc. These are requests for death. Don't be afraid of Jara and Marana. You have to fear the culprit, tanha the prayer. Again, where is tanha coming from? In this sutta it comes from affection, but in the DA process it comes from feeling. Anyhow it falls into the Khandha. The Buddha gives the example of affectionate things being like alcohol mixed with poison. Contemplate this Khandha as anicca, dukkha, anatta, bhaya, etc. Impermanent, suffering, non-self, fearful. In this way, you will not drink the alcohol. Dhamma talks by Mogok Sayadaw. The 1st of July 1962. Nature of stream enterer. This is the last talk of Sayadaw in Mogok. He knew that within 4 months he would lay down his burdened Khandha forever and have no chance to come back again. So he delivered this last talk for his lay disciples to check their practices. I'll talk about the nature of someone with the cessation of dukkha, i.e., the cessation of apaya khandhas. You have to practice for its cessation. Told the story of the Kosambi Sutta, Majjhima Nikaya. In Dukkha Sakka one of them is Viparinamatha, changing with perishing and nothing left behind. The other 3 meanings of Dukkha Sakka are Pilanatta, Sankātatha and Santapatha. As an example, a feeling arises and then perishes and you can't find it anymore. If a human dies, the corpse still exists. First, you must know them in this nature. After that, Nana develops into disgust and disenchantment for it. And then it develops to having no desire and not wanting it. After that, the preceding dukkha ceases, i.e., the Khandha. With the cessation, no change occurs and Santi Sukha arises, peaceful happiness. At the time of seeing the nature of change is Kika Nana, functional knowledge. The cessation of the changes is Kata Nana, the knowledge of the ending of the truth. Then, one enters the stream and becomes a stream enterer. They have 7 types of mind, not the same as a worldling. The way of the practice is Sakka Nana, Kika Nana and Kata Nana respectively. 1. In Sotapanna, the 4 hindrances still can arise, not including doubt. If lobha or dosa arise in a worldling, it could happen the whole day, and it becomes displeasure. The one who ends dukkha does not happen in this way. If happening to him, he follows behind instantly with knowing, Nana. It arises because he has still not abandoned it yet. Even though it arises for him, he instantly knows it from behind. The differences are in happening longer and shorter. 2. Some worldlings, due to old age or encountering a lot of dukkha, find that their lobha and dosa are becoming fewer than before. This is the cause of samvega. The power of Nana is another kind. Every time something arises, they can follow behind with knowledge. Not only knowing the arising Dhamma, but also the mind wants to make it peaceful or calm down. With meditation, the mind arrives at the extinction of dukkha, i.e., fruition state, because path knowledge has already appeared before. At this point, for the worldling, the mind doesn't calm down and even becomes worse than before. 3. He has no doubt about the existence of noble beings in this Buddha Sāsana. But worldlings believe that in other faiths, there also can be noble beings, Aryas. Note, some Chinese Buddhists believe that the saints in other faiths, i.e., God-centered, are equal to the Buddha. Therefore, Sekha and Asekha noble beings are lower than the prophets who lived with wives and children. For a Sotapanna, he has no doubt that in other faiths there are no Aryas and no way to transcend dukkha. His saddha is unshakable and cannot be destroyed. For example, see the story of the leper Upasaka Suppabuddha, Dhammapada Stories, Balavagga, DHP 066. 4. If the Sotapanna is a monk and breaks a minor rule, he'll instantly make a confession for it. If he is a layman, he'll instantly ask for forgiveness or use meditation to overcome it. 5. He is secure in sila. He has the desire to help people but without breaking the sila. The Buddha gives the example of a mother cow eating grass while constantly watching her calf. 6. He is able to concentrate and listen to Sakka Dhamma without letting his mind flicker outward. The Buddha gives the example of a small child who, if he handles hot charcoal unknowingly, will instantly let it go. In the same way, not letting the mind go out and instantly able to concentrate on the Dhamma. 7. After listening to Sakka Dhamma, his joy and gladness last longer, and he has a strong appreciation.